We're going to start off with the product of powers. So after we've reviewed, we're going to look at what it means. We're going to investigate the exponent properties. And the first one, like I said, is the product of powers right here. So the product of powers occurs when numbers with exponents are being multiplied together. So if we look at the first example, we have 5 to the second times 5 to the fourth. And when we expand that, and remember from the notes yesterday, expanded form means you write it all out. We have the first 5 to the second written here. 5 to the second, that's this. And then we have the 5 to the fourth written here. So all we've done is multiplied them all together. And when we multiply them and we simplify it back into one number or letter with an exponent, what we do here is we add. So we add the 5s. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're adding them and we get 5 to the 6th. So if we look over here, I've added the 2 and the 4. So I've added the exponents. 2 plus 4 equals 6. So that my exponent then is going to be a 6, and I'm just keeping the base with it. So the base never changes. The exponents we're just adding. So let's look at the next one. We have 8 to the fourth, which we can write as 8 times 8 times 8 times 8. And then we have 8 to the fifth, which we can write as 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 eighths. So then in simplified, we would have 8 to the 9th power. That is what it would look like as a simplified expression. Now, if I go back, instead of having to write it all out in expanded form, all I'm doing is I'm again taking my exponent of 4 and my exponent of 5 and adding them together. So 4 plus 5 equals 9. And that's going to be my final exponent with that base of 8. So that 9 is right there. Okay, so now we have one with the negatives, so that it's the same base, and we're only going to multiply the numbers with the same base. So we have negative 4 to the third times negative 4 to the fifth. So again, let's write that out. We have negative 4 to the third, which gives us negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4. And then we have negative 4 to the fifth, which would be times negative 4 times negative 4. 5 times. So then when we add those, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And our final answer would be, in parentheses, negative 4 to the 8th. So again, I can go back and show you that all we did was add 3 and 5. 3 plus 5 equals 8. And that's where that 8 would come from. Okay? So the next one then would be 7 to the fourth times 7 to the fourth times 7. No big deal. We've just added a little bit more than just two bases being multiplied. So again, we're going to take that 7 to the fourth and write that 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. We're going to take that 7 to the fourth here and write that as 7 times 7 times 7 times 7. And then we have our 7 by itself. So we can times 7. So again, we're just going to add those up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then my answer would be 7 to the 9th. Again, all I did was I took my exponents, the 4, and when there is a number by itself, the exponent is always 1. So I took that and added that as well. So 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 1 equals 9, and that is my exponent, 7 to the 9th over here. Okay, so now we have x to the 3rd times x to the 7th. I want you to write it in expanded form, but I'm going to do it just by adding. So I have x to the 3rd, x to the 7th. I'm going to add 3 plus 7 equals 10. So my final answer is going to be x to the 10th power. And you can write that in expanded form. Okay, so the next one, it says try this one without expanded form and look at all of this craziness. So this is going to go back to combining, kind of like combining like terms. We're only going to add exponents that have the same base. Okay, again, only adding exponents that have the same base. So in this case, we have two numbers. We're going to treat those individually. So we have 5 and 3. And the first thing we're going to write down is we're going to say that 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, so we're going to multiply, whenever we have a number by itself without an exponent, we're going to multiply those numbers by themselves. So in this case, 5 times 3. Now, we're going to look at the x's. And we have x to the 4th, x to the 6th. So I'm going to write x, and 4, let's put it over here, 4 plus 6 equals 10. So 15x to the 10th. Okay, so again, I color-coded because I'm only adding exponents that have the same base. And so this case, x is the base that we're using. So x to the 4th times x to the 6th, I'm adding the exponents 4 plus 6, and it gives me x to the 10th. Okay, and then now let's look at y to the 2nd times y to the 9th. And I'm just going to add those. 2 plus 9 equals 11. So then I have y to the 11th. Okay, so I can only add like bases. I can only add the exponents of like bases. So for the answer for this one, we get 15x to the 10th, y to the 11th. Okay, so it says, do you see a pattern that relates the expression in the first column to the equivalent simplified expression? In words, what do you notice about the exponents? So again, this is just that you've added them, and you can write that out yourself there before you turn these in. This one says to try these on your own. So what I want here is what's a possible expression that we could use here, and then write it out in expanded form here, and your final answer is going to be 7 to the 15th. Okay, and then I want you to go ahead and try this one. Whenever you have a power of 0, that equals, let's just change this. I'm going to change this to a 1, x to the 1st. Okay, that way we're not confused. So again, you're going to multiply your numbers in front, multiply your same bases, so x to the 2nd times x to the 1st, and y times y to the 5th. Okay, And go ahead and write that. You don't need to do that in expanded form. Just give me the final answer there in the middle. Okay, so the rule, what's the formal rule when multiplying exponential expressions with the same base? What we're doing is we're saying a to the n times a to the m. All it is a n plus m. So we're adding the exponents there. Okay, so that's the formula for that. I know that looks confusing because you have 3 different letters there, but that's just the formula with that goes with the rules of multiplying exponents. So finish this one, turn this in for notes, and then on the practice, you only have to do either the evens or the odds. If you get stuck, let me know and I can talk you through it, or join my office hours Tuesdays or Thursday afternoon and we can work through it together.